Wednesday, February 14th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we talk about what we like in an anime convention.
It's a total cop-out.
Let's do this. Well, we just spent the last hour digging our cars out of our driveway.
Yeah, the snow finally stopped, and I happened to notice as soon as it happened. I just looked out, because I've been looking out the window like every hour, and I'm like, whoa, no snow. So we ran outside. I was wearing 2 pairs of pants and 0 underwears when I ran outside and unshoveled the car.
See, now, very serendipitously, Emily had helped me rearrange one of my closets so that she could store a bunch of stuff in it temporarily. And during all of that, we pulled out 2 giant cardboard boxes full of, as far as I can tell, garbage. However, now that I had to go outside and shovel a foot of snow off of my car and off the driveway, I realized that in one of those boxes was none other than my ski pants that I have not worn since the last time I went skiing.
Wow, that's a long time.
It's like a decade.
I put on my boots that I didn't wear at all this year. I haven't worn them since last year, and last year I only wore them a few times. I'll probably buy new ones the next time. Like, if it snows before, like, in December next year, I'll buy new ones. But, yeah, boots. Crazy. Yeah, so two pants.
Now, the best part is we spent, all this time digging out the car so that we could then walk to the Chinese place right next to our house to get some Chinese food.
Yep, and it's good, though, because now we don't have to shovel the cars out tomorrow morning when we have to go to a convention. We'll just be able to throw our shit in the car and go.
Yeah, speaking of which, this weekend we're going to be in Washington, D.C. at the Omni Showroom Hotel.
We'll be there, like, tomorrow night, Thursday night.
For Katsucon, at least one of my favorite anime conventions. Scott's never been to it before, so we can't say it's his favorite yet, but...
No, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good convention. It's one of the top 10 conventions in the United States in terms of attendance.
Yep.
At least anime conventions.
And the previous 2 years have been great.
Yeah, and we're going, and we're going to do a bunch of awesome stuff there.
Yep, and if nothing else, we're doing our famous anime match game, which... If any of you went to Citicon, which there weren't many of you there, then you've seen most of the questions I'm going to ask because I'm lazy. But I figure I'm going to reuse most of them because it's a totally...
Yeah, so few people who were at Citicon will also be at Katsucon. Let's say you, me, Corbin.
Yeah. So great. Us and the con chair of Citicon.
Yeah, we can reuse the same questions.
You know what? Corbin wasn't actually there for all of the match game because he had con business to attend. So
awesome.
However, this will put us in a bind, because if Otakon asks us to do the anime match game...
Then we're going to have to come up with all new material.
I have to write new material, which I
Otakon and Katsucon have the same attendees, mostly.
There's also the problem that I haven't written new material for this since pretty much the second time we ran it.
Well, I just came up with a new one, like, a few minutes ago.
Yeah, mostly to make fun of one of our celebrity panelists.
Well, you know what? If people want to help us write the anime match game of the future... All you got to do is make a little thread on the forums, and you have to say stuff like, a lot of these we've covered, but it's got to be stuff like a funny anime.
You see,
a scary anime.
I write all the flavor text. We don't need that. I could write flavor text all day long. What we need are the actual distilled down questions, like, name a sad anime, an anime that made you cry, an anime that fucked with your head, an anime that was bad.
Yeah, I just came up with one a few minutes ago. It was an anime no one can pronounce the name of.
Ha ha, way to reveal our one trump card.
I know, right?
Yeah, luckily I don't think any RIT anime people will be at Katsucon either, so we can get away with totally reusing old material.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, but Katsucon's going to be great. Check us out in the video game room where we will be guests/staff 24/7, give or take, for the entire con.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Also,
I need to go to sleep.
There's a good chance if you're there tomorrow night, you'll see us in the lobby playing German board games.
Or DS.
Yeah.
Or just talking.
Something like that. Talking, the thing we do every day, a lot. Right, so in the news, I just want to bring this up, not so much because it's happening again, but because I don't think a lot of anime fans really know about this. But Japan, one of their primary exports to the world, is culture and entertainment. And it's not like this is just some way it is, but it's actually the fact that the Japanese government works very hard to make this reality, promotes this sort of thing, and it's definitely part of Japan's kind of grand plan.
Yeah, think about it. Japan is a little tiny island, and they mostly buy stuff from other people. Well, they got to get stuff, somehow to give away, or else economics don't work. So the only stuff they really have to give away is brains. Things that they can do with their brains. They design awesome stuff. They invent awesome stuff. They make really efficient factories, so they buy raw materials and then put stuff together and sell that. And they also create arts and entertainment.
So on February 9th, the Japanese government announced their second 5-year plan for the promotion of Japanese culture, as I have just stolen almost verbatim from the Anime News Network.
Yep, I guess the other 5-year plan had just finished.
Well, we know how well 5-year plans tend to go.
Lol.
I don't really have much to say about this other than that, one, it's smart on Japan's part. Two, part of this seems to come out of the fact that anime and manga have, as far as Japan can tell, or is concerned, it's doing really well in America and in other parts of the world, and they realize that exporting it is a good thing, and they want to increase this or possibly do it with other aspects of Japanese pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it this way, right? Japan is just one country. It's an important country in the world. It's Western and modern and has a lot of people, but it's not very big. It's not more important than France or Britain or any of those other countries.
Well, I don't know. You could argue about France.
Maybe.
In the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the mind share that Japan has worldwide, in terms of arts and entertainment and culture, it seems a lot bigger, especially in geek-type communities than, say, Spain.
God, well, look at us. Me and Scott. I'd say that a good 60 to 70% of our total entertainment comes from Japan.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So obviously, their 5-year plans are working, and if other countries were smart, they would copy what Japan is doing. I mean, France makes a lot of art. Italy makes a lot of art. Greece makes art. How come they don't export that stuff?
Now, the question just becomes, is Japanese pop culture doing so well in the world because they're working to promote it? Or is it because of some inherent aspect of Japanese pop culture?
That is a good question that I do not know the answer to.
Yes, and I hope that we will get some interesting feedback about that in the forums, because I don't really know. And
I think we need to talk to someone who's very smart and knows the answer already.
Yes, and hopefully no one who will beg the question.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right, I got two anime iTunes related newses. First of all, a U.S. anime company has made a little store on iTunes. Can you guess what company it is?
Not really, no.
Well, I thought it was going to be Viz, because Viz has those rights to Death Note.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for Viz to open up a store on iTunes and start selling anime. But it's not Viz. No, it's not. It's Funimation.
Funimation, you say?
Yep. If you go on iTunes, in the United States iTunes store, remember you can change what iTunes store you're in by going to the bottom and choosing a country? You can buy all 24 episodes of Desert Punk, all 26 episodes of Samurai 7, and 20 out of 24 episodes of Speedgrapher. I guess the final 4 episodes of Speedgrapher aren't out yet. All 3 of these are Gonzo shows.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's fine, because you don't need to buy the end. Just buy the first 2 and stop.
Well, I guess when the final Speedgrapher DVD comes out, I assume those 4 episodes will go up on iTunes. They're all, in the standard iPod video H.264 format. I assume they look pretty good, because it's not hard to make anime look good in, digital video formats if you know how to set all the encoding options properly. But one interesting thing is, this is Funimation. They operate pretty much in the U.S. in terms of distributing anime. So unless you have a United States billing address, you can't actually buy any of this stuff.
Great.
And also, it's got the usual Apple DRM encumberings.
Double great.
Yeah.
See, maybe it's just me, but in terms of how I consume anime and acquire anime, in general, there are only 2 ways I want to get it. Either I want it as it's coming out in Japan, in which case I would pay for that, but I can't pay for that, so I watch the fan subs instead. And then, if I didn't want to watch it as it came out episode by episode, I don't really care when I see it, and I'll just get the DVDs from Netflix.
Yeah, if I'm not watching a show as it comes out in Japan, with subtitles exactly as it is, I want to watch the whole thing at once. I want the whole thing real quick, like in a box set. I don't want to get one DVD at a time every month or 2.
Yep.
It's either got to be an episode a week, or it's got to be the whole show for Netflix or in a box set.
God, I remember back in high school, our D&D group, Ken was buying Escaflowne every month when it came out. And every time we said, let's watch 1 episode a week, That way, we'll finish it, and then the next week, the next tape will come out, and we won't have these binges and then these horrible withdrawals.
Yeah.
And every beginning of the month, we'd watch the first episode. We'd sit there. We'd pause it like, all right, we're going to stop watching. And then we'd unpause it and watch the rest of the tape.
That reminds me of the time when I bought the Macross box set, and then I watched one episode every day. That was good times.
I remember that because I'd come home and I'd watch about half of them with you.
Yeah.
I watched all my favorite episodes at least.
Yeah. Anyway, I got another iTunes-related anime news. It's sort of a combo news, right?
Uh-oh.
Apparently, the big-time pros are going to come down and compete with the likes of you and me, and Anime World Order, and Dave and Joel, and all those other anime podcasters. There's going to be a new anime podcast video show called Anime TV. What a creative name.
Huh. Who's doing this?
Well, it's going to be, it's going to premiere February 15th, that's tomorrow, at 8 p.m. Pacific on iTunes, YouTube, Rever, Blip TV, VSocial, and GoAnimeTV.com. So they have an RSS feed and they put it up everywhere.
All right, so it's all video.
Yeah. And it's a free podcast anime review show with a cast of diehard anime fans who know their stuff.
Uh-huh. Did they say who is on it?
Well, it doesn't. The only thing it says is that Johnny Young Bosch is the host. It is produced by Bang Zoom Entertainment, who I've never heard of, and it has actual sponsors. You ready for the sponsors?
Let me guess. All the American anime companies.
Not a one.
What?
The sponsors are as follows. Glyco. Wait. There's more. Calpico. I never heard of them.
Me either.
Fiji Water.
What?
Hookups. I don't know who they are either. Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. Palm Tea.
All right, that's good. I like that stuff.
Sacco. What the hell's Sacco? Birdhouse. I don't know what Birdhouse is either. You can get a sneak peek of the set at some URL. Whatever.
I don't know.
Oh, and their first show, they're going to review Haruhi.
All right, I don't know. This has all the trappings of commercial products.
It definitely feels like someone's trying to move into our game, but they're going to be it all pro styling and not a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disparage it because I've hung out with Johnny before and he's a cool guy.
Yep.
But I get the feeling that this is going to be a lot like G4 TV in terms of how relevant it is to the actual...
That's the feeling I'm getting. It's like, the way G4 TV reviews a video game is the way that this show is going to review an anime. I'm pretty sure. I might even watch the first episode tomorrow. I mean, it's free, right? I just had to deal with these sponsors ads.
When are you going to watch it? We're going to be at Katsucon.
Oh, I'll watch it when we get back from Katsucon.
Yeah, because we also have Monday off work.
It's not like it's a streaming video. It's a video podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be on iTunes and everything. So I figured a combo news.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this will be.
Yeah.
I'm as leery of it as I tend to be leery of just about anything in the world. So don't take that as me.
I mean, there is already an anime video podcast that I think is really good, which is animepodcast.net, which is, I guess they pronounce it Pon. That's the way they pronounce their show. But they don't seem to make shows too often. But like when there's a convention in the Northeast area, they usually do video interviews with all the Japanese guests, and then they put those up. So I imagine maybe after Katsucon, if they're there, maybe they'll put up some shows or something.
Maybe we'll get them on our show and interview them.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have all our stuff set up.
They're pretty smart people, considering they speak fluent Japanese to talk to these guests. It's actually pretty cool because it's a video podcast. They interview the Japanese guest in Japanese and they have subtitles.
Ooh.
It's much better that way because whenever you interview a Japanese guest and you have the translator there, it's all annoying because it takes twice as long to hear the interview because they say stuff in Japanese and then you hear the person in English afterwards.
Well, no, there's a very easy way around that. And most podcasters who record stuff at cons and most press people who aren't professional just don't do it that way because they don't know how or whatever. But if we interview any Japanese guest with a translator, it might suck for us to do it.
But you take the Japanese person's voice and make it quiet and put the translator's voice over it.
Yeah, you do the BBC thing or the NPR thing.
The thing is, a lot of people don't do that, especially...
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why
I remember I would listen to interviews from E3 with Nintendo people, and they would just give you a video of what went on in the interview room, and you'd be like, this takes forever.
See, that's why we at Geeknights here wouldn't do that.
No, we wouldn't. All right.
things of the day.
OMG.
So there's this show called Balls of Steel. Don't care where it came from or anything, but they did this bit. And this bit involves getting a bunch of people who are recognized experts in various fields and tricking them into thinking that they're on a quiz show where they'll be quizzed about their expertise.
Oh, so it's like bringing me on a show and asking me about computery stuff.
Yeah, something like that. And now they got these experts on and they ask them a few softball questions. Like one guy was an expert on Anne Frank and that sort of thing. So they ask the first few questions. The guy gets them right, obviously. And then they ask a question and the guy answers obviously correctly. And the buzzer goes and they say, sorry, that was incorrect. The correct answer was blah. And they start off where they're only kind of slightly off. And by the end, they start doing just absolutely crazy, like so stupidly wrong, you want to cry.
Hey, Rim, name a popular robot anime series directed by Hideaki Anno.
Oh, I don't know. That would have to be Shinseki Evangelion.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's wrong. It's actually Robot Fighter Go Go Go.
See, now this is a lot like that, except it's funny and the questions are well done.
Yeah.
But no, the Anne Frank guy starts getting a little perturbed.
Lol.
It's a good watch, and that's really all I can say about it. Because
I haven't even watched it, so I can't say anything.
Because some of the times when they ask a question, like you can see a situation where you know the answer to a question, but you're not like, because they said you're wrong and you're being recorded, now you're thinking, wait a minute, am I sure? Am I sure? And it's almost like, it might be worth it, just let it go, because you don't want to look like a total tool.
If I was on a game show, I wouldn't call him on it right there and then, unless I was 100% sure. And if and even if I wasn't 100% sure, I would go and look it up immediately after the show and then call him on it.
Though when I was in Quiz Bowl in high school, in the the varsity Quiz Bowl team, which I got a letter for, that says a lot about how my high school was.
Yeah.
But a lot of times Quiz Bowl, because they're just run by college punks usually, they'd have just incorrect questions or they'd screw something up. And we would call them on it immediately, loudly, even if we weren't sure. Sometimes we'd challenge things where we had no idea what the answer was, just to win on a technicality.
Well, there is an advantage in that real game shows, at least in the United States, are governed by so many laws that if they mess up, you can totally get them.
Yep.
It's like, so if you get all the questions right on Jeopardy, and Alex Trebek just keeps telling you you're wrong, and you don't get any money on the show, and at the end of the show, they say, sorry, you lose. If you actually were right, then the game show authorities, I guess, will come and make sure you win.
Anyway, this is worth a watch.
Yeah.
So are you continuing your Thing of the Day theme week?
I am. And basically what I got here, I went around, I looked, I found a bunch of videos, and I was, because there was so much awesome jazz action on YouTube, I didn't know which one to pick.
Did you find any videos of Buddy Rich drumming?
I didn't even try.
That's something on the side, totally outside of all this. If you ever get a chance, try to find a video of Buddy Rich actually, the drums.
Yeah, the hitting instruments.
No, because he does something cool. Anyway,
what I found that was pretty cool, if you remember my thing of the day from Monday, the Dave Brubeck Quartet playing Take 5 back in the ancient times, I found another video of the Dave Brubeck Quartet playing Take 5 in the 70s.
Really?
In color. And it's pretty cool to see the same guys, only way older, playing the same exact thing.
I had a friend who saw Maynard Ferguson playing when he was quite old.
Yeah.
And frail old man could still really jam.
I actually read some stuff about the Dave Brubeck Quartet on the Wikipedias, and that saxophone guy is dead. He died like in the late 70s, I think. But Dave Brubeck is alive, and it's always been his quartet. And I guess they still play in places, and they're pretty awesome.
Jazz musicians live forever.
Yeah, they
except that saxophone guy, obviously.
Well, I think he might have died of smoking. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because jazz players never smoke or drink.
Nah.
Right. So we kind of wanted to cop out so we could get this show done and pack up all the equipment for Katsucon.
Yeah, we're in a rush to do this show. We don't really care about it that much. So,
well, also we really want to review Tank Police, Dominion Tank Police.
We do.
The only reason we put it off now is that, like Initial D or Utena, it's one of those shows that we don't want to do half-assedly. And I have to get a lot of examples of the audio from the sub and the dub, because the differences between them and the good things they did and the bad things they did are very important to the understanding of the wonderfulness that is Dominion Tank Police.
That is too true.
I freaking love that anime. But anyway, tonight, since we're going to an anime con, and we realized I don't think we've ever actually talked about this. No, I mean, we did a whole series on how to go to anime cons. We've talked about how to run anime cons. We've talked about being guests at anime cons. We've talked about how to do panels at anime cons. We've reviewed anime cons. We've never talked about what we personally like in anime cons, like what we're actually looking for.
Yep. Well, I think this show is going to have quite a bit of overlap with the how to run anime cons, because when we tell you how to run an anime con, we're basically going to say, hey, do the stuff we like. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I do think there is, definitely something. There's definitely not exactly the same show, because there are things you have to do to run an anime con these days and make it successful that we may not necessarily be fans of or care about.
Yep.
In other words, the perfect anime con that is designed only for Scott Rubin is nothing like a successful anime con with 20,000 people at it.
Yeah, so I don't expect anime con chairs to take what we're saying and try to turn that into a con.
No, please do that. It'll be the con just for me. It'll be great.
It would basically be Rim, a.k.a. Hedonism Bot, surrounded by cadres of cat girls, voice actors, Yoko Kanno playing a piano.
Sounds good to me, except replace the Rim with the Scott and the cat girls with the non-cat girls.
See, it'd be a lot like Citicon, actually, because, the video game pianist and entertainment system, and the concert late at night, basically we were sitting, like, in the middle during the practice, like it was a private concert for the two of us.
That we were.
Yeah. All right, but first, I guess the most important question is just, why do we go to anime cons? For fun.
The same reason we attacked the gas station. Yeah.
But no, our first anime con ever, we went for very different reasons than why we go to anime cons now. You see, we're in college, we're freshmen. We're kind of
When I was a freshman, I didn't even fully grasp the concept of an anime con.
Me either. And I remember our friend Luke one day was like, hey, let's all go to Ohio Con. Where is it? We asked. Ohio, he said. And then I get it.
Yeah, it's a pun.
So we go to the website and it lists they've got some guests. They've got some events listed, a video game room. It's in a hotel. It's in Ohio. And we're really not sure what to expect. I'd been to gaming cons. I've been going to gaming cons for a long time.
Yeah, I've been to a gaming con or two. Mostly I went to a Magic tournament.
Yeah,
which is pretty much just like a gaming con, only with one game.
Yep. We should do a show on Magic someday.
Oh, God.
All that money.
Money the waste.
All that money.
Magic the Gathering? No, sorry. It's money the wasting. All right.
So I knew what a gaming con was. You go to play games. I was like, what? At an anime con? Do you go to watch anime? That seems stupid.
Yeah, I could watch anime on my own. A gaming con, you can see the purpose. It's like, aha, I can't play this game unless there's someone else there. Playing with people I don't know is actually interesting as opposed to playing with people I play with every day.
Now then, I could have seen going to an anime con to watch anime, because back then, especially in high school, a lot of anime was hard to come by.
That is true.
But
did you say
yes, I did.
It's hard to come by?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to.
Okay.
That was an unintentional, poorly executed pun.
All right.
So, God.
Let's just go to the con and forget this episode.
Let's power through. We can do this.
All right.
So,
power through what?
I had something I was going to say.
All right,
got
power.
it. Back on track. I'm not going to edit this at all. I'm just putting it up as it comes.
Okay.
But we're at RIT already.
Oh my God, you said something.
We were members of the biggest anime club in the country. They had every anime we could ever want to see in a library that we could check tapes out of for free.
That was true.
So, we're like, why should we go to this anime con? And the people who were older and wiser than us, had lived a lot longer than us and seen a lot more anime, who were kind of spearheading our going to this con, kind of sat us down and explained what an anime con was. And the way they explained it was basically, all right, so you go to a hotel and you're surrounded by nothing but anime fans, most of whom are girls your age who are as geeky as you and are dressed up like cat girls and anime characters.
And I was like, that's nice and all. It's obvious why that's nice. But I had been to many youth group conventions in my high school days, which is, all sorts of exactly your age girls and in a hotel for a whole weekend. So I was like, been there, done that. What else he got for me?
Yeah, and then they basically said, oh yeah, and everyone gets laid at anime cons all the time.
Not true.
Yeah, not true
That's
at
the
all.
same thing they said about the youth group cons.
That's the same thing.
While there was much laying going on, not everyone gets laid.
You know, I'm going to quote. Now, this is not me speaking. This is the disembodied spirit of the average RIT student speaking. That's what they said about college. But no, and you know, they said, oh, well, there's video game tournaments and there's art people with Art Alley and blah, blah, blah. And they kept explaining, you know, all this stuff that goes on. And I still really wasn't sure what to expect. So just all crammed into cars and drove to Ohio.
Which, yeah.
Now, the problem is we went to a shit anime con.
That we did. OhioCon 2.0 was shitty. I don't know about OhioCon now, but OhioCon 2 was ass.
It was still, to this day, the worst con I've ever been to.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't think. There have been cons that were close, but they never quite reached that level of, not only was it bad, but I'd paid for a badge, and I didn't even need a badge because they didn't have any security.
We played Settlers with a midget whore. And we played Settlers of Catan with a midget whore. And that is not an exaggeration at all. That is the cold, raw truth.
Not only was that not the only midget we encountered, but it was not the only whore we encountered.
We could have played Settlers of Catan with the transvestite, transsexual sailor Neptune. Or Mercury. What's the blue one? Is the blue one Neptune? Did I get it right?
You asshole. I forgot about that. I seriously didn't remember that until just now. Oh, that was the worst con ever.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but anyway, what makes a con bad for us is real easy. If the con is unorganized at all, if I go in and it's not immediately obvious where I can get a badge, where all the stuff is, or at least where I can find out where all the stuff is, if I don't see staffers periodically, if there's no one checking my badge, which means I didn't need to buy one to get in.
Yeah, that'll piss me off. If I don't need my badge to actually get in and I bought one, grrr, I could have snuck into this con. You better check it if you make me buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think half the people at that OhioCon even had badges.
I don't know. They definitely stopped checking them. It's pretty much only the video game room checked. And you know what? That video game room was weak, and it was the only thing going on there.
That video game room was not as well equipped as our house.
No, it's not.
God. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, we basically, number one, we want a con that is organized so that we don't have to worry about anything. If we want to do an event, we can just look on the schedule, show up at the event, and the event will happen.
Yep. And you know, even the smallest bit of disorganization can bother us. I mean, when we went to Kineticon and they didn't have $5 bills when they were charging, $35 for a badge?
Yep.
And they knew everyone in the world would have 20s and they didn't take credit cards, then you should know that you should have $5 bills. Not having them, grrr.
Yeah, and they seem kind of angry at us that we were standing there, you know, waiting for our badges and not getting out of line. And then, yet, there's nothing we could have done to rectify the situation. We both had $20 bills. Even if we pooled our efforts, they didn't have any $10 bills either.
Nope.
Of course, then I wonder, how was everyone... I don't know. I don't care. That con is passed. We'll cover Kineticon next time.
Yep.
But, I mean, we went to Otakon next, which made us realize what cons are all about. And for this day forth, or from that day forth, every con we go primarily because... our culture, the culture that we are part of, could be described generally as geeks.
Mm-hmm.
And while we get along fine with non-geeks, yeah, if you're with people who are like-minded and with similar interests, you can generally have a better time.
Yeah, I mean, out on the street, I might see some, you know, there's a bunch of normal people, but I can't really, just spontaneously, you know, have a discussion with anyone in a restaurant about an anime or a video game or anything. I mean, someone might look like a gamer, but I'd have to go and meet them and find out what they're interested in. And, you know, it's not easy to just have fun out with random people. At a convention, you know, especially an anime convention, people, everyone there likes the same shit. You could just immediately, whip out a DS and say, who wants to play some Mario Kart? And 10 people would be like, me.
Yep, or I remember when we went to Otakon after the Leroy Jenkins thing had appeared, where just out of the blue, we were walking to the con, and I think one of us just yelled Leroy.
Leroy!
And half the con yelled Jenkins right back, and then there was a tiny ruckus.
Yep.
It's very fun to be surrounded by like-minded people, and we have friends that we only know from conventions, and yet we're very good friends with them. We see them every year at least one con. We're good friends forever, and yet we know them only because we went to these anime cons.
Yeah. I mean, it would be one thing if, all the like-minded people lived in the same place, then a convention wouldn't really be necessary. Like, if our culture was not geek culture, but popular culture, what do we need a convention for?
Yeah, just go to the bar.
Everyone is interested in the same stuff. If you like sports and TV shows and reality shows, go to a bar. There's people there. It's like a little convention every night. But if you like geeky stuff, you have to, you can't go to a bar. There's no geek bar. Well, I guess there's a few geek bars in the world, but not many.
Yeah.
Well,
like in Rochester.
Maybe if you live in like San Francisco, or like Toronto has that one Linux bar, and maybe a couple other places, but that's it.
Well, like in Rochester, several times we decided to try and check out the nightlife of Rochester. We went to a bunch of dance clubs over the years, and most of them sucked, but that was mostly because Rochester's nightlife is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
But two, even when we found clubs that had people in them, the music was just not music we cared about. It wasn't even like good techno or good mod. It was just nothing.
Yep. I mean, the only place you could really go for entertainment on a consistent, regular basis was the gaming store, which wasn't open at night. It was open during the day, and there would always be gamers there.
So now we go to a con, and they've got the rave or the dance or whatever, and not only is it usually good music, or at least good enough music.
Usually.
Yeah.
Some cons are no good.
Otakon.
Yeah.
Otakon. God. Actually, Katsucon has, as far as all the cons I've been to, some of the best dances ever.
Yeah, well, we'll see when we go there.
Yep. Especially since last time, or 2 times ago, they had 80s night, which made me feel very much at home.
It doesn't make me happy.
Yeah, Mr. Never Heard of Karma Chameleon.
I wonder what the hell this shit is. What are you trying to talk about? How am I supposed to know what the crap is?
And also, the front row crew was formed at this point, and, it's modified, changed, grown slightly over the years, but even back then, there was something about getting the whole crew together, going to a foreign land like Chicago or Baltimore, and setting up our little encampment and then venturing out to recruit new people.
Or to attack.
Yeah, depending.
It's mostly just a unique social experience. That is the number one reason for a convention of any geek convention to exist.
So I guess aside from that, to not beat around the bush anymore, in terms of the con itself, so we can also end this episode and I can pack all my stuff together.
Yeah, I gotta go pack some clothes and my toiletries and shit.
Yep. But in terms of the con itself, the material of the con, our perfect con generally is large. By large, I mean at least 5,000 people.
Yeah, if there aren't enough people there, I mean, sure, with maybe 1,000 people, you can have some fun, but eventually you walk around the con and you keep seeing the same faces that you've seen already. The same cosplay walks by again.
Yep.
A con like that with so few people only needs to last one day, just because.
Or it needs to have so much quality programming.
Which is not easy. So, because not all programming appeals to all people.
Plus, smaller cons tend to have less programming anyway, thus exasperating the problem.
Yes. So, if you're going to have a 3-day con, you need a lot of people so that I can keep meeting new people. The percentage of cool people will probably be the same at any con. The total number of cool people will be greater at a bigger con.
Yes, and that is key, because it seems to me that in anime cons and gaming cons and all this, all the cool people at a con tend to kind of form into 1 or 2 globs. Like, all the cool people keep running into each other. And eventually, like, there's this giant mass of interconnected cool people, totally separate from the seething, teeming masses of fat fanboys. Yeah, because
while everyone at a convention is a geek, not everyone at a convention is sociable. The thing is, there are enough sociable people that their awesomeness can occur. And there's a critical mass, It's like, let's say, I'm just making up numbers, 15% of people at a convention are cool. Well, if the convention is 100 people, that's 15 cool people. If the convention has 1,000 people, that's 150 cool people. If the convention is 10,000 people, that's,
Yes.
You get the idea.
Yep. And also, aside from all that, con has to be organized. Con has to be in a convenient location. And by convenient, I mean a major freaking city.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's got to be near a lot of hotels, but It also has to be in a nice convention center of some sort or a nice hotel.
It kind of has to be on an interstate, or I'm probably not going to come to it.
Yeah, it has to be easy to get to, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in a big city. If there was somehow a really nice hotel just outside of a big city, as long as it was easy to get to, it would be cool.
And in terms of programming, I don't know. What we want in terms of panels is barely achievable by the masses, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
We want professional, freaking amazing presentations at every turn.
Like, listen to like the Byzantine 12 Emperors Rulers podcast, right? And you're basically listening to an amazing lecture where someone who's a genius informs you about these amazing things that you've never heard before.
Yep.
And it's so ludicrously interesting that you can't believe.
Or listen to a stand-up comedian who has well put together jokes and he's just telling to you in rapid succession.
Yep. Or you're going and you hear like 2 or 3 people who are like super important people in the industry who know their shit like the back of their hand, and they have a discussion. And you're like a fly on the wall during this amazing discussion of all this interesting shit that, people hardly ever talk about. That's the kind of panel you have to have. Any other panel is completely uninteresting.
I've seen maybe 11 good panels in my entire life.
I don't know how many, maybe 3.
Well, I've been to more cons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. I want a video game room to exist, and I don't really care beyond that. I used to worry about playing DDR at cons, but now I can play DDR whenever I want.
Yeah, if you have a game room, you're only really going to get me in there
if we're guests at the game room.
Or if the game room has some sort of games that I really can't play anywhere else that I really want to play, and that there's not going to be a way for me to play them in the future.
Yeah, last Katsucon had that retro arcade, which was most fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like back in the day, Dance Dance Revolution. Not easy to find a machine in the US at the time. Not easy or cheap to get the home version at the time. So if a convention had the game available to play, that was way cool, and you would totally wait in line to play. Now, I could go, and there's 3 machines in Wildwood, and I have pads in my house, so who cares?
In terms of showings, all I want is horribly violent East Asian low-budget cinema, preferably live action.
I agree. That is the only thing I also want, because if it's anime, it's going to be on DVD or fan sub. I can watch it. If it's live action Asian cinema, it's probably rare. It's not easy to get it in the US, especially if it's unedited and subtitled. And I've probably never heard of it and wouldn't know how to find it. So your convention needs to have someone who knows about that shit, can go out and find it, can get it, and then show it.
The only other thing I could see now that I think about it, is what if a con, like, Otakon has the giant showing room. Mm-hmm. What if they showed something like Odoru Daiso Sasen just as a super big showing? So now you have the opportunity to watch something like that with a gigantic crowd.
That'd be awesome. I'd totally go.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to propose something like that.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
The other thing I like at conventions is certain kinds of guests I like and certain kinds of guests I don't like. Like, it doesn't matter if it's someone cool or someone not. It matters if it's someone who will entertain me at the convention. For example, you might get... let's see. Let's try to think of someone. Well, like here, Rintaro was at Anime Next, right? And we saw him at that panel that barely anyone was at. And
I don't know why no one was at that panel.
Yeah, but anyway, Rintaro was way cool. He's a way cool guy. He's way awesome, makes awesome stuff. And his panel was okay, but his presence wouldn't get me to a convention, because what's he going to do there? He's going to talk in Japanese about some stuff he's made that I've seen.
I mean, granted, that panel could have been a lot better.
It could have been a lot better.
If the moderator had actually screened the questions from the audience at all.
Yeah.
Because half those questions were just, I expound for 5 minutes about how erudite I am when it comes to anime, and I want to impress Rintaro. And now I finish this long, rambling rant with a totally inane, stupid question.
That's a whole separate Geeknights episode, is how to ask a question at a panel
that
without
he's
Rim
going
and Scott beating you up.
God, we hate everyone. What can we say?
Yeah, what can we say? No, but let's say you get someone like Muck. Muck was at Otakon, right?
Yeah. Well,
they're just a MySpace J-Rock band. That's the truth. But you know what? I didn't go to the con for them, But I went to their whole concert, and it was still awesome.
It was a great, hard concert.
Yeah, because, I mean, someone who's putting on a concert is able to provide me with, like, hours of entertainment at a convention, whereas someone much more awesome than Muck, like Rintaro, is not really an entertaining guy. I mean, maybe if I was staff or if I was another guest at the con and I was going to spend a lot of time hanging out with Rintaro behind the scenes at the con, then his presence would, make me happy.
See, now that's why you should be staff at Animazement with me.
Yeah.
Because Animazement gets...
If it wasn't so far away and I wasn't starting this new job, I probably would.
Yeah, because Animazement honestly has some of the best guests, especially considering how small the con is relative to other cons. They get some guests that you really wouldn't expect, and being staff is so awesome to hang out with those people at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, generally, a musical act I care about a lot. And like the Laruku concert at Otakon a few years ago was abso-fucking-lutely amazing.
Yeah, it has to be, your guests have to provide entertainment in order to make me happy. It can't be someone who's going to sit there and go like, oh, we've got, a voice actor. I'm like, voice actors don't entertain people. All they do is say some things in their characters' voices and make a few fangirls go,
Except the one, God, I forget his name now, but I really like him. He played a bunch of stuff in Urusei Yatsura, but he was at Animazement, and he put on an amazing freaking panel about how to voice act that was absolutely awesome.
Oh, see, that's good. The thing is, if you just having them there isn't enough. You have to find some way to make them entertain. For most cases, a voice actor is not going to entertain that much, but you can get them to. Like if you bring an artist, right, and you just have the artist give a panel,
whatever,
on, what they drew, whatever.
But then Anime
if you get
Central,
the artist to like do some sort of art competition.
Well, what I was about
else.
to say, Anime Central did Iron Guest every time I went, and they take like two famous artists, like two of their guests, give them a topic, and they do Iron Chef, only they both had to draw the topic in a half hour, and then like they had the judges panel vote on it, and they had a camera on both of their hands showing them as they drew, and the guy went back and forth interviewing him. It was super double awesome.
Yeah. You've got to make something that entertains me for me to go to it, because if there's nothing entertaining going on in the programming, I'm going to walk around to the dealer's room and the artist alley and the hallways and wherever, and if I don't find anything to do, I'm going to be bored. I'm not going to be happy.
In a perfect world, who would we want as guests? I mean, I would love to see, I don't know, Ayumi Hamasaki.
That sounds like a good guess to me.
Yeah.
Who is that amazing voice actor guy who does...
Oh, the guy who plays everything, Koyasu?
Yeah, we talked about him last week.
Yeah, the guy, Takahashi Ryosuke.
And Toga, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Hotohori.
Bring Osamu Tezuka back from the dead.
Yeah, let's just bring him anyway. Roll him in.
Yep. Miyazaki. Bring him in on there.
I imagine he'd have interesting things to say.
Yep. Who else would have awesome stuff to
There's
say?
always the old joke forever.
Rainier Knizia, he would have something to say.
Safe Arth.
Safe Arth would have something to say.
But like back when we were first going to cons, the rumor that came every year about every big con was that Tumix or Megumi Hayashibara were going to be the guests. And it never happened.
No, it didn't. I think Megumi was at an old anime expo or something, though.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like her, but I like Ayumi Hamasaki and Maya Sakamoto a lot more.
See,
if we're talking about
what you can do
idol
to
singers.
really bring something to a con is bring an interesting guest. Like there's that con that Anime World Order went to in Florida somewhere that had the Space Ghost guy as a guest.
Yeah, or get Lionel, or...
Yeah, the guy who does Lion-O, not Lion-O.
Lion-O, not the trains, but
like
the guy.
voice actor of Lion-O on Thundercats, or the Optimus Prime voice actor, or...
Or you know what? You know who I'd like to see? Ikuhara, because I just want to watch him be creepy all weekend.
Nah.
That'd be great. I'd love to talk to Ikuhara.
Yeah. It's like people keep bringing over like character designer for some show, and it's like nobody cares, nobody knows this guy. Why are you even paying for him to come? You could have got, you can get rid of 5 of those guests and get someone who's actually entertaining.
Yeah, cosplay I don't care about as long as it's there, because one, it means that all the cosplayers will come, and I like to look at their costumes, and it always adds something to the con. 2, all those people are now removed from the convention for 4 hours, so I can run around and make mischief.
Yeah. I mean, a con without a cosplay at this point, I know a lot of the grumpy anime podcasters, they really wish they could make a con like that. The problem is a con like that, so few people would come, compared to another con. And there wouldn't be stuff happening. It would just be like people sitting around going, hey.
I think we're just going to stop here because, I mean, we could talk about Dealer's Room and Artist Alley, but I think I can sum it up very briefly. In terms of both of those, we just want Otakon because no con comes even close to Otakon when it comes to an amazing Artist Alley.
I want a Dealer's Room that has stuff for sale that is out of the ordinary, stuff that I can't find anywhere else. If I walk around the Dealer's Room and I see stuff that I've seen everywhere else, I don't care.
Anime Next actually had a really freaking good Dealer's Room.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good. I walked around and I was like, huh, look at all this shit. I didn't expect this.
But with Anime Central being a distant second, Otakon is the only con where I actually really enjoyed the Artist Alley.
Yeah, and Artist Alley is really all about, quantity and quality. I mean, the more artists there are, the more likely I am to spend
more.
Yeah. I mean, if there's 5 artists sitting there, I'm going to go there once, and that's it. If there's, 100 artists, I'm going to spend a lot of time in there because I want to check out every single artist that's going down and, get sketches and commissions and buy things and woo. Yeah.
And of course, last, I like to go to cons that pay us to be guests.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I mean,
if your con is free or cheap, that is pleasant. It's also, if it's close to my house, yeah, it's nice too. If I don't have to go very far. Or if you pay for transportation in a plane.
I love how the small
teleporter.
Of all the cons we've been comped into, the one that gave us the most was the smallest.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh well. That's it. We'll see you all at KatsuCon, which is going to be super awesome. This weekend, we may or may not have an episode tomorrow night, depending on if we finish our special in time or if we just go to bed.
This episode was totally a cop-out.
Yep. Yeah. We'll see you soon.
Woo. I'm tired.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.